Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from a Spiritual Ascension. Always have to make sure I say this. This video is meant to find you at the exact point it's needed on your journey. So, spiritual weight that could be meant in so many different ways. Things that hold us down, right? But for my own story, I'm going to talk it as literal weight, which throughout most majority of my life, I've had a struggle with, which many people struggle with weight. Grew up, never had to worry about my weight, got married, had my first son. When I left the hospital after having him, I was actually weighed less than before I got pregnant with him. Like weight was never an issue for me. But then after my second son, I started noticing that I was putting on weight. And this was all new to me. I didn't know I knew nothing about calories or the right foods, the wrong foods, because before I could really eat anything. Um, my family also was, for the most part, pretty trim. Um, my second sister had a little bit of weight issue, and I had always noticed that. But it's kind of now like the opposite happened where I was the one after having kids with the weight issues when I had always been very thin growing, my teenage years and everything. Um, and just a thing of losing when I had my separation from my ex-husband. I lost a lot of weight and got like super really thin. And some of it was from, kind of just being depressed about the situation. And some of it was kind of like, probably like, I'll show you type of thing, um, that you didn't want me, when had a little bit of weight on me. But now you're going to want me when I look really good. So that was kind of like a payback type of thing. But the thing is, when you lose weight so quickly and lose so much in such a short period of time, you easily bring it back, and then you also bring more of it back. But something else I noticed, which I'm going to say currently over the last couple of years as I've been on this spiritual ascension journey, is you're going to go through what's called spiritual warfare. And it mostly happens towards the end of your journey. So my journey was exactly 5 years. And it started to ramp up during the last 5 years of what I would say this thing, your light is getting so much brighter that anyone who has darkness within them can't take that light whatsoever. And a lot of people, when you think on the 3D level, people are going to say things about you, gossip about you, um, bring you down by words or actions, whatever it may be in the 3D. But what actually is happening is you're ascending, okay? Your light is getting so much brighter. And because of that, those that are walking in darkness are going to find any way to put out your light on a 5D level. Okay, so spiritual warfare gets really, I'm going to talk about that more in another video. The spiritual warfare gets super serious towards the end of your journey. So if you're finding that you're having this weirdness between you and another person where you know what they're doing and the attacks that you're making on you, but no one else can really, like if I was to go to someone else and say that this person is doing this to me, they'd be like, oh, that's nothing. Like just ignore them, But because you're ascending, you understand what's happening. And there's really no need to go to any other person who's not spiritual because they're not going to understand what you're going through. It is a ethereal, right? Ethereal um, thing that's going on in the ethers. It's nothing that's going on in the material world. But the attacks are coming in a material way, whether it be by the things that they say to you or their actions or um, anything like that. People seem to want to attack me during my last year. It was my weight. Last year, I had, um, well, over the past two second half of my journey, I would say, I had lost a lot of weight. And it was because of my own, what you're learning is your own self-worth on this journey. As part of it was my own self-worth, wanting to do this for myself because all these years I've had struggles with my weight. Um, and it seemed like it reached a pinnacle point during this last year of dealing with, especially this one person who knew that, not knew, I shouldn't say she knew that my weight was an issue for me in the past, but because of her struggle with her own weight, I believe at some point she got on some kind of the shot, whatever they're taking these days for kind of instant weight loss. And I could think that kind of failed for her. But when I was very thin last year, she kind of said, like, you don't seem to have a problem with your weight. And right away, that's a trigger for me. And because I've always been a people pleaser, which you can probably um, understand. The thing was, too, that it wasn't like someone I knew. If you've been in a circumstance where you've had weight issues and you lose weight, and the friends that you hang around with, and they're used to you being a certain way, when you now lose that weight, for them, it's you're not the same person and they don't know how to deal with you. So there was this thing of, I hadn't even been around her when I was losing the weight. So my first introduction of myself to her was as a thinner person. But she attacked that. And there were so many other women around that were thin, and I didn't understand that. So over the next few months, because of this stress that I was going through some other things, which I'll talk about too. A lot of spiritual warfare um, between light and dark, and the weight started to creep back on. And just wanting you to understand that if you have had issues with your weight in the past, people are going to, people working in darkness are going to look for a way to put out your light, and they're going to do it on the 3D level. Okay. You're maybe going to sense it in 5D and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. but it's going to affect you in the 3D. So if I can help anyone at this point to understand that if you have had weight issues in the past and you're trying to get healthier, that may be something that someone um, kind of attacks. And to understand that they're doing it and why they're doing it, and for you to try to go within and um, realize the reason for it so that you can move on and continue your healthy journey. Okay. Um, it was so hard for me to maintain that because food had always been an emotional support thing for me. And I thought I had overcame that, but your ascension journey is about healing, and everything that you haven't healed from your past life is going to be brought to the fore so that you can heal those aspects of yourself. I'm now away from that situation for the last month, and I'm able to now get back to, like, if you look probably back to some videos when I first started doing these, my face is probably a whole lot, chunkier and everything. And I'm starting to like slim down a little bit, but I have a long way to go from me feeling actually healthy again. So just me, doing daily walks, getting out there early and eating. I was actually had how I had lost the weight before, like 2 years ago, was doing intermittent fasting. Actually, OMAD, if you're familiar with that, of eating just once a day. And I haven't been able to do that for the past year. And now that I'm home, I'm able to go back to doing that. So that's helping me a whole lot. And if you're not familiar with OMAD, I highly recommend it. Maybe a little difficult in the beginning, but it's one of the things that, like, being able to eat anything you want within, a certain time frame. And then it's easy for me not to eat anything else the rest of the day and to do my exercise and then concentrate on my work and, just living life. And my main focus is not on food. But I'm going on and on. And hopefully this helps you in some way. If you'd like to talk to me about your own journey, your own struggles, there's a link below for you to book time with me. I've done several courses on the Ascension journey, and that link is also below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.